Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. We've got another episode of Guitar Tours going on, and I am honored to have the extremely talented Charlie Worsham.
Oh, thank you,
What's
man.
up, man?
Thanks. What's going on? Welcome to East Nashville, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love Nashville. East Nashville is like even...
It's the Kroger where you see all the guitar players. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I love it. We're in your bonus room here at your house.
Yeah.
Which tends to be the kind of thing now, right? Everyone's got their own setups.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a bunch of friends. Just you could throw a rock and probably hit 5 studios.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before with some of these others. I'm getting to meet someone because we're hanging out for the first time. Get to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quick way to get to know someone as you start playing music, talking about guitars. You know, so I already feel like even though it's just starting, like I'm already getting.
Oh, it's like a regular hang, man.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play guitar first?
You know, interestingly enough, I started with piano lessons.
Okay.
Like a lot of kids do. You know, I did t-ball, struck out there, did karate. Once we started hitting boards with our bare hands, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Then I started taking piano lessons, and music just made sense.
Okay, cool.
From there, I picked up the banjo and played a lot of bluegrass for many years, but I always wanted to play guitar. Vince Gill was my #1 hero of all time, and my parents took me to see him probably 8 or 9 times. And I would just see the lights would go down at the end of the song, and they'd come back up, and he'd have a different guitar.
Yeah.
And it was so loud, you know, this thing that was not that big could fill this arena with sound, and that was it for me. So about 5th grade, I got my first guitar and started on that path, you know.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Where were you growing up?
Grew up in Grenada, Mississippi, about 100 miles south of Memphis. Great place to grow up if you're into music, you know.
Oh, nice.
Home of B.B. King, Elvis Presley, father of country music, Jimmy Rogers, Marty Stewart. So many legends and so much great blues
Charlie
music.
Worsham.
No, man. I'm just a student. I'm just sitting there at the feet of the masters.
You mentioned Vince Gill just a second ago as like one of your heroes, right?
Yeah.
But now you know Vince Gill, right?
Yeah, it's really
you've
wild.
Worked with him, right?
Yeah, he is as much of an insane talent as he is. His heart and who he is as a person is equally just amazing. And
nice.
I'm not alone in saying this, that he's taken me under his wing and just encouraged me and everything. But there's, you know, anybody out in this town right now coming up, you know, probably has a similar story. He's just the sweetest, kindest, most generous person. And this year in particular, I got the chance to be in his band, which was wild. We did about 30 dates out on the road, and Jed Hughes also playing guitar in that band. And the treat about playing in Vince's band is that he likes to surround himself with amazing world-class players and world-class instruments. And so just getting to be around so many of my favorite things and people, it was a real treat.
He has one of the like top-notch guitar collections, right?
He does. Yes, he does. He really does. But the way that he collects, you know, he's not someone who's bidding to just try and get the perfect collection because it's on paper the right thing. I mean, he loves the instruments, and he'll grab a guitar, and if it doesn't speak to him, it's not for him. He wants crayons for his coloring box, you know, like to get the crayon, but you got to get all the colors. You want to be able to paint with all the colors. And it's really evident, too, when you listen to records that he works on, whether it's his own or he's producing another. I mean, he's using those instruments.
Could you ever have imagined that you'd play in his band? Like,
no.
What was like the most surreal moment in that experience, knowing that you like worshipped him, and then all of a sudden you're playing in his band? Was it like the first rehearsal, or was it like the phone call?
Oh, it happens all the time. And phone calls from, you know, voicemails and stuff I've saved and all of that. But probably one of the neatest things I ever got to do was be with Vince the night of his 25th Opry membership anniversary. They gave him the whole night. We ran past midnight. We blew past the deadline, you know. And he just had all of his friends over the years, Emmylou Harris, Rodney Crowell, Patty Loveless, folks like me and Ashley Monroe, who he's taken under his wing and helps shine a light on, all coming through and singing together and guesting on this amazing stage with all this history, and just getting to be there and strum guitar and sing harmonies. That's a night I'll never forget.
You kind of came up here in this music scene as your own artist, songwriter, singer, right?
Yeah. Well, and actually, interesting ties to this guitar I'm holding. When I first came to Nashville, I joined a band called King Billy. We struggled for a few years, and we had some breaks, and certainly made a name for ourselves. We sort of ruled 12th and Porter, a great venue here in town, once a month. The King Billy is Your Friend night. Also, to help pay the bills, we'd be the backing band for a lot of other folks. And it was a blast. It was sort of my unofficial master's education. Getting in a van and going across the country with guys that just felt like my older brothers. And that was really my introduction to Nashville. And after about 3 years with the band, I then really in earnest pursued the solo career and have been doing that ever since.
So you work with Old Crow?
Yes, this year, early this year, I had coffee with Ketch Secor, and I feel like he was another one of my long lost brothers that we just never seemed to cross until we were grown up, but had the opportunity to spend the year touring with Old Crow, and I'm going to do more of that in the new year. And it's been such a thrill.
That sounds super fun.
It is a really fun 2 hours on stage. I've never experienced the music I grew up with, the old time and bluegrass, traditional folk styles, and the way that Ketch and Old Crow have turned it into modern, really pushing into the future music. What really I believe is at its core what country music is and should be today. And it's so fun, and there's so much energy. And I haven't strummed that much and, banged away on my acoustic instruments in a long time. It felt good to do that.
Dude, that's so awesome. All right, so let's talk about the guitars.
Yeah.
Let's see what we've got here. Are we starting with this one here?
Okay, yeah, I wanted to start with this Strat. Crazy how this came into my possession. Well, I lived in a house with about half the band, and the other half of the band lived across the street. I played a lot of banjo and acoustic and sang harmonies in that band, but the guitar player was a guy named John Osborne, who you may know of from the Brothers Osborne, who is a beast on the electric and and he can play mandolin and stuff too. He's just often shredding an electric. This was John's Strat, and he had it in the room where they kept their cases across the street, and I was always borrowing it. And John's not too much of a Strat guy. He's more of a telly player, and I ended up holding on to it more than he did, and eventually he was like, man, I'm gonna sell some stuff and get some other stuff. So he sold it to me to kind of keep it in the family, and so I'm really grateful. I feel fortunate to be trusted with this instrument. To me, it'll always be John's. But his dad got it for him years ago when he was first kind of getting started, and it's a '70s Strat. I want to say 72 or 3, maybe.
It's got the '70s headstock. Yeah.
Love the big headstock,
big fat one.
Yeah. I don't think these are the original pickups. He had something different put in, but they play great and they sound great. And what I love too is back here on the back plate, you've got the JTO. From when it was John, so John Thomas Osborne, proof that it was his. And it's literally the heaviest Strat I've ever played.
Man.
Really, it's almost like holding a Les Paul, So I always gravitated towards it. And I just loved this guitar. For many years, it was sort of my workhorse and the only really good electric that I had. I just love it, and I love doing those sort of phased out sounds you can get on the second and fourth pickup. It just begs to be bent. The strings just want to be bent on a Strat, and I love that. When you take strictly the bridge pickup by itself on a Strat, it's not quite the same as having a telly. But if I've only got one guitar, I can still get away with it on here, which I love. And then, of course, like going all the way to the neck, too, you get that real bluesy. So yeah, man. So just It's a go-to for me, you know.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Nice playing, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, cool. Let's go through some of your other
Let's do.
favorites.
Hey, we'll just trade if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is a crazy story with this guitar here. I know I've talked a lot about Vince already. Got married a little over a year ago, and Vince called me and was like, man, I got a wedding gift for you. Come on over to the house. And sure enough, man, this was sitting in a case. After I cried for about half an hour, like an idiot in front of him, I could finally start to speak again, you know.
Yeah. He was probably really touched.
What happened with this instrument was about 3 years ago, I did a number of dates on the road with Vince, and he did this really cool thing where he got Jenny Gill, Ashley Monroe, and myself to be a part of the band, kind of like a family band, and featured us all. And that was my first time to tour with Vince, and the first thing I learned was that if you're touring with Vince, you know, and you don't have a particular instrument that you could really use, then you can probably just borrow one. And so he asked me, you know, is there anything you need that you don't have? I was like, man, I love 335s, I don't have one. And so I show up at rehearsal and this thing is sitting, you know, on the stand. And so I had borrowed the guitar and fallen in love with it then. But the cool story with this guitar, it's a 1960 dot neck 335, but it does have the PAF here in the neck. The bridge pickup he got off of Andy Reese, an insanely good guitar player, plays with the Time Jumpers here in Nashville. And I think they had this bar added to the bridge to keep it from kind of ringing quite so much. I feel so bad. I put this scratch in it since I got it. The strap wasn't connected all the way, and it dropped, and it scraped, and it scared me to death. But it's okay. Part of the story, you know. And man, this guitar just sings. It just, you know, this particular the bridge pickup is just a screaming pickup, you know. Playing all in A today. Yeah, man.
How do you decide what guitar to play?
Well, it really just depends. I try to really take a step back and think about what part I am needed on, and then what instrument is going to serve that purpose the best. You know, on the road with Vince, I actually was playing more telly for my single coil stuff. And I had this as a backup for a half step down. And this particular for, you know, rockin' numbers. And also just for soulful stuff. You know, you can get on this neck pickup and really do cool. You know, and I've learned more and more too that the volume knob is your friend. I remember watching Emerald on a cooking show saying, you know, they got these numbers on these burners for a reason. You don't have to cook everything at 10. And it's the same premise with volume. You know, you can get, especially with this guitar, what it sounds like halfway is way different than what it sounds like full blast. You almost get a little of that twang, you know, but if you go full, definitely more of a rock guitar now, you know.
It, yeah.
And you can get all the you want to get all bluesy, but you can really do some great rhythm, you know. So yeah, you know, and I love pedals too, but man, between the volume knob and using pick versus fingers, you get a lot without ever hitting a pedal, you know. So this guitar for sure covers a wide range of rolls.
I have a question, just from watching you play. You've played with tons of great players. Did they ever sit down and like show you licks and stuff, or was it more you just could like learn from them just by hanging around?
Well, yeah, with Vince in particular, and I think it's probably true of a lot of the folks that I've been around. They're never not gonna stop and help show me or whoever something if someone's asking. Sometimes it's that they're stumbling into a thing, and I just happen to be witnessing it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is me kind of just trying to watch and take notes and remember. And I know, for example, and I don't know where this comes from. I should know the master of this style of playing, but a lot of those like early rock and roll, I mean, Chuck Berry would be one.
Yeah.
But where they do the double stop. That kind of stuff, There was this one on tour this year, I saw Vince playing. That kind of a thing.
So like,
and so that was like watching him, and Jed and I both were sort of like, hey, what are you, show us what you're doing there, And so he'd just play it, and then, finally, after a couple of days, I was like, I think this is kind of what's happening. And what I love about that and how licks sort of disseminate amongst players and through the generations is that no copy of a lick is ever 100%.
Right.
It's never a carbon copy. Every player that learns a lick from someone else, whether they mean to or not, they're putting their own spin on it, they're putting their DNA on it, and then the next person that hears it, same thing. And if you get a lick start, that's almost like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
By the time you get around the table, man, it's a whole new lick.
We got acoustics now.
Yeah, we switched gears. What we're both holding are what they call Sinker Martens.
Okay.
And
I don't know that term.
This is this crazy thing that's been happening in acoustic world lately.
Oh wait, I think I do know, but go on. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, in the 1800s till about 1930, Martin was sourcing its mahogany from Belize, and they had to float the logs down the river to get them to where they'd ship them. About a third, literally, of these logs sunk to the bottom. And recent years have given us technology to find the sunken wood and bring it back up. So Martin got this wood, started to develop a plan to make guitars with it. And George Gruen Guitars here in Nashville, world-class music store, said, whoa, I'm gonna buy every guitar you make with this wood, but here's some blueprints. And basically George, who knows more about Martin guitars than probably anyone on earth, sort of cherry-picked some design elements, got the bracing from the best era and everything. And Martin started making these guitars, and this guitar I'm holding is a 14-fret Quad O Sinker. It's got new spruce top, but it's mahogany on the back and sides. The blocks inside and the neck are all old wood. And so it's a new guitar that kind of sounds like an old guitar. And this particular guitar that I'm holding, sweetest gift in the world. My sweet wife gave me this on our wedding day.
Good answer.
This is the guitar that if the house is burning, this is what I'll be running out holding. But man, I love this guitar. It is my go-to for touring when I'm playing on the road, ride-arounds, anything like that, songwriting on it, and I've just started to use it in the studio here lately as well. And it's got that great classic Martin sound. It's really even. Real string forward, get a lot of solid string elements to the tone, and rings great. Real responsive to real dynamic response there, and
often do you change your strings?
I think I'm about ready to change these. It just depends. Till they start sounding about like this. I like a little bit of deadness in them.
Oh, I mean, guitar sounds amazing.
It's no, for sure. And I prefer strings at this stage to brand new, for sure.
So when you put new strings on, do you play the crap
I try
out
to
of
play
it
as much as I can,
How about we switch?
Yeah. So this is
Here's
also,
another sinker for you.
This is the 12 fret sinker, and you can tell it's just barely a longer body.
When did you get this one?
I got this one about a month ago.
Okay, from Grunes?
From Grunes. Of course, got the slot head. This was my first big instrument purchase since I got married.
Oh, okay, all right.
I've learned a lot in buying this guitar, you know what I'm saying? I love this guitar, and I love how it balances out what that guitar does. It's these, even though they're really close in design, there's such a difference. And the bottom end on this instrument, this particular one, is so big and round, and the notes are almost piano-like. The sustain is crazy. Less of the string forward sound, The individual notes seem to kind of ring independent of one another in a way. Great dynamic response. And I really love, if I'm playing with my fingers, this guitar has proven to be a favorite for that.
Do you mess a lot with alternate tunings, or?
Here and there, I do. I play a lot in drop D. Especially in the last few years, I've had a lot of shows of my own where I'm opening for someone solo acoustic. Like out with Old Crow, I'll open a lot of those shows, just me and a guitar. And anything that gives you a little bit more, where you can have a little more low end and do more with the bass lines. Yeah, and Dad Gad I've messed some with, and that open C tuning that I think the Jimmy Page used a lot with Zeppelin. Those are great, but I tend to keep everything in standard for the most part.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Thanks,
Both these
man.
guitars.
Thanks.
When you said Sinker, it occurred to me, we did an episode at Grunes, and I played a Sinker that looked exactly like that one.
Yeah.
What's on the top of the wish list of what you don't have?
A great resonator guitar, I think. For me right now, what I could get the most mileage out of, for me getting this guitar, while it's so similar to that, in the studio, it's such a big difference in tone when you get it in front of a microphone. And that's one of the things I love about the Quado sizes. You need dreadnoughts in bluegrass music because you've got to project. You don't have an amp. But in the studio, you just have to get from here to there. And these Quados give you all the tone you need, but you're not way out here and all of that. But I will show you, if I can show you one more guitar.
Please.
This is my first Martin. My parents got me this for Christmas when they could tell I was really getting serious about music. It's the first really, really great instrument I've ever owned. It's a 1963 D28. It's got Brazilian rosewood on the back, which you can't get anymore. And I played a lot of hours on this guitar before I left Mississippi. Still do. A little more of that traditional bluegrass. The way that it pulls the sound out is just so different, and it sounds crazy, but it sounds dry, to me, to my ears. This wood's just had time to be convinced that it's no longer a tree, it's a guitar now.
Okay.
And I just love layering acoustics in the studio, and this is always one of the layers for me. If I'm playing that guitar first, this is gonna be the second one a lot of the time. And I've found too, and this is particular to the studio for me right now, but I know it would translate live as well, I am always testing out picks before I do a take. For anybody that's trying to get more tone out of your existing guitar arsenal.
Yeah.
Just buy a bunch of picks. That has a sound. It's a really heavy pick, but a smaller pick. It's a regular but super thin pick. You really hear the difference there. And then here's one of those Golden Gate made to sort of emulate a tortoise shell.
Very different sounding.
Very different. And so that can oftentimes give you what you're looking for without changing instruments, you know. Marty, thank you so much for having me on Guitar Tours. My name's Charlie Worsham, and look for my next record. I don't know when it's coming out, but sometime. And YouTube is forever, so it may have just come out, or it might have come out 25 years ago. And if you're in Nashville, try to catch me at the Station Inn or one of my Every Damn Monday shows, or somewhere on the road, probably with Old Crow Medicine Show these days. Thank y'all for tuning in. If y'all don't mind, we're gonna jam a little bit.